students, welcome to you all. And today we are going to see Geography Chapter 5 and an interesting topic, that is agriculture. So let's see the video. Let's go to the topic. So what is agriculture, children? So agriculture is the practice of cultivating plants and livestock. So agriculture was the key development in the rise of sedentary human civilization, where by the forming domesticated species created food surpluses that enabled the people to live in the cities. So what are the learning objectives? We are going to learn from this chapter, children, the different types of farming. So let's start our topic. It's a small warm up to you, children. India is a vast country and each region is climatically and topographically suited to the growth of a certain crops. So let us take a closer look at the agriculture in India. So why agriculture is so important? And agriculture plays a critical role in the entire life of a given economy. So the agriculture is the backbone of the economic system of a given country. So in addition to providing the food and the raw material, agriculture also provides employment opportunities to a very large percentage of the population. So agriculture, also called a farming, refers to the cultivation of the soil and for growing crops and the rearing of livestock for food, wool and the other products. So it is one of the oldest activities known as the humans. So agriculture is the primary activity as it involves the extraction and the production of the natural resources like the crops, fruits, vegetables and animal products. So around 30% of the world population is engaged in agricultural activities. So it is the backbone of the Indian economy and the largest provider of livelihood, especially in the rural areas. So agriculture depends on a number of factors such as the climate, soil, relief, size of a holding, transport facilities, availability of loans and the methods of farming. So I'm going to show a small video about the paddy cultivation, children. Let's see the video. So this is a small video about the paddy cultivation in India. So let's go to the next one. And the process of farming. There are several steps involved in the cultivation. The first step is the farmer has to plough the field, and the second one sow the seeds, and the third one is the irrigate the land, and the fourth one add fertilizers, protects the crop from pests, and the fifth one is the weed out unwanted plants, and finally harvest, store and then transport to the crop to the market where it will be sold to the consumers. And the sixth one is often farmers sell their produce to intermediaries who transport and sell into the final consumers. So there are maybe the 9 steps are there. First one is a plough the field, and second one sow the seeds and irrigate the land, third one, and the fourth one is add fertilizers for protecting the crops from the pests, and the fifth one is weed out unwanted plants. Okay. And the next one is harvesting, and then the packaging and the transportation and then sell to the markets. So these are all the process of farming. And the next one we're going to see the types of farming. Okay, so let's see. The three main types of farming are subsistence farming, and the commercial farming and the dairy farming. Okay, and so the types of farmings are subsistence farming, commercial farming, and the dairy farming. Okay, so there are three types of farming. Let's see the each topic. That means the types of farming. First one is the subsistence farming, and the subsistence farming is further classified into two types. That is, with the primitive subsistence and the intensive subsistence, that is in the subsistence farming. And in the commercial farming there are three types out there: mixed farming, commercial grain farming, and the plantation agriculture. So these are all the subdivisions of the subsistence farming and the commercial farming. Okay, and again the primitive subsistence was classified, further divided into nomadic farming and the shifting agriculture. That is the primitive subsistence. Okay, let's see about the each topic. The first one is the subsistence farming. What is subsistence farming? It is carried out to meet the requirements of the family. The output is enough to feed the family, but generally not enough for the sale. So the farmers use the simple tools and do not employ external labor. That is the subsistence farming. And the next one is the commercial farming. What is the commercial farming? Is nothing that, children. It is carried out on large plots of land, requires a huge amount of capital, and extensively uses the machines. Okay, and the output is mainly for sale in the market. It is driven largely by the profit. So next one is the dairy farming. What is the dairy farming? Is nothing that it is a practice of rearing of cattle on large farms to obtain the milk and the animal products. So it involves the use of scientific techniques and the huge capital investments. So next one is the subsistence farming. Further, it is classified into two types, you know. So first one is the primitive subsistence and the second one is the intensive subsistence. So what is the primitive subsistence? Is under this method the farmers rear livestock and grow crops to meet the personal needs. The tool and the methods used are basic. And in the intensive subsistence, this is a type of farming where farmer cultivates a small plot of land using the basic tools, fertilizers, and the more labor than used by the primitive farmers. So two or more crops are grown in a year by these farmers. And the next one is the primitive subsistence, and then in a nomadic farming. What is a nomadic farming? It is a practice of raising livestock by herders who move from one place to another with their families and the livestock in search of fodder, pastures, and the water. So the animals provide the milk, wool, hides, and the other products. And let's say about the small video about the nomadic farming, right?
Herding animals is one of the most important and constant things about being a nomadic Tibetan. Nomads are people who are always moving, finding better, greener pastures for their animals to eat. Everyone wants a large, healthy herd because it shows your family's wealth, social standing, and work ethic. Even the Tibetan word for yak is synonymous with the word for wealth and precious things. Yaks provide a heavy, woolly pelt, and their milk is used to produce butter and cheese. The trading of animals and animal products is important to the nomadic economy. Yaks definitely are the most important for Tibetan herders, but they can also keep sheep, goats, horses, and sometimes pigs. Yak and sheep require pastures with lots of grass, whereas goats prefer the temperate shrub plants that grow in higher altitudes. Sheep, which are the second most important animal, provide wool, meat, and hides. Tibetans use sheep wool to make the Tibetan sheepskin robe, a warm but not too heavy garment. Tibetan sheep wool is valuable because it is especially shiny and strong, making it perfect for things like clothing and carpets. Horses are used all over northeastern Tibet.
So let's go to the next one. And the next one is the primitive subsistence, that is in the shifting agriculture. What is the shifting agriculture? This is a system of farming in which small patches of forest are cleared by the cutting and the burning the trees. So the ash from the burnt trees adds to the fertility of the soil, and this land is then used for the growing crops. So it is therefore also known as the slash and burn method of cultivation. So when the land starts losing its fertility, it is abandoned and allowed to return to its natural state. So the cultivator move on to the another plot and the same method is repeated. So this is the, and the next one is the commercial farming. What is the commercial farming? In that commercial farming, there is a mixed farming is there. What is the mixed farming means? Is nothing that it is a practice of growing food crops, fodder crops, and raising livestock simultaneously on the same land. That is a mixed farming. And another one is a commercial grain farming in the commercial farming. Okay, what is the commercial grain farming is nothing that children the practiced in large farms and involves the use of huge machines such as the seed drillers, harvesters and the threshers. The bulk of the grain produced and sold in the global market. And in the commercial farming, another one classification is a plantation agriculture. What is a plantation agriculture? Is a form of commercial farming that involves the cultivation of a single crop such as a coffee, tea, sugarcane, rubber, banana for the profit. It involves a large number of capital and the labor, managerial and the technical skills and an efficient transport network. So the nomadic, what is the nomadic farming is a practice in the arid and the semi-arid regions of the Sahara, Central Asia and some parts of India such as the Jammu, Kashmir and Rajasthan. And the intensive farming is practiced in the densely populated and the monsoon regions of the south and the southeast and the East Asia. Rice, wheat, maize, pulses and oil seeds are grown by this method. And the next one is the commercial grain farming is practiced in the temperate grasslands of North America, Mexico, Europe and Eurasia. So shifting cultivation is practiced mainly in the forest of Northeast India, Southeast Asia and the Amazon basin. So and the next one is the mixed farming is practiced in the Europe, Eastern USA, Argentina and the Southeast Australia. Here was we see the sheep and the crops being raised in the farm in the UK. So the plantation agriculture is practiced in the tropical countries with a high annual temperature and high annual rainfall. Examples include the rubber plantation in the West Malaysia, coffee in the Brazil and tea in India and the Sri Lanka. And the dairy farming is mainly practiced in Australia, New Zealand, North America and the UK, Denmark and the Netherlands in the Europe. So these are all the regions where the types of farmings, that is the nomadic, shifting, mixed, plantation, dairy, intensive and the commercial grain farmings are practiced in all over the world. So that's all children. Let's recap the chapter. That is what we learned from this. The overall main topic is that the process of farming and the types of farming in the agriculture topic. So this is part 1 of this chapter children. Hope you all understand well. Let's we will meet on the second part of this chapter. So thank you all children. Thank you.